This Liberty Sports Update is brought to you by Beacon Credit Union.
Morning, Alex. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well. So you chronicled your journey with us Saturday, and I had a chance to speak to your dad last night, and he said he and your mom Hope both kept encouraging you, and how much did their encouragement plus just staying in physical shape and growing as a person help you when Tanner Burns reached out to you about the kicking opening?
Yeah, good question. So it's kind of funny when I left Penn State. Like I really resented football. I wanted nothing to do with it. I didn't want to play at all. And since leaving Penn State, my father and then my uncle kind of continuously would say, you can do it. You should try out, go play, things like that. And I didn't want it. I didn't want to hear it. I mean, honestly, I was just annoyed that they would continue to tell me that. And really, my only excuse for really not playing was the fact that they already had someone who had been here for years. It's like on my end, I had hip surgery, I left football, I haven't been kicking for 2 years. Why would I go try out for a team to play with only 1 year eligibility left when they've had to play for 3-4 years? Like, to me, that was just dumb. You know what I mean? And then that door opened up. There's no more excuse. Probert was gone. You have Stricker here, so you have one person to compete with. You don't have a dude who's been here starting for 3 or 4 years. And I was like, why not? Like, what do I have to lose besides possibly being good? If I fail, I fail. I'm no more in a negative spot than what I was already at. You know what I mean? And ultimately, a big part of why I chose to play was not really even for myself, but it was to honor my parents. Because I know that they had high hopes for me in terms of Penn State and playing football in college and stuff. And my college career didn't really go at all how I thought it would. And obviously, that's kind of a downer for them a little bit. And I kind of viewed it as an opportunity to where if I at least try, whether I fail or not, they at least know that I tried. And that alone honors them. Whether I have success or not doesn't matter. It's the fact that I said, yes, I'm going to do what I can and give it my best shot. And if I fail, I fail. It is what it is. But they at least saw that I tried. You know what I mean? So honoring them was a big part of me coming back. And then the other part of it is obviously, can I play? I haven't played in 2 years. I hip surgery. What if I can actually do it? What if I can do what I thought I couldn't? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Was the hip surgery in 2016
17.
as your true freshman year? Or
17.
It was the second year?
So it was the first year, but it was in the winter. So my first year was 2016 fall, and that January I got surgery. So that season I redshirted, but I was also hurt. I wasn't playing, wasn't dressing for a certain amount of games, and obviously I wasn't going to get hip surgery in the middle of the season. It's not like I had a broken leg where I can't walk and I kind of need it right now. So I waited till after the season to get it done.
Yeah, and for the amount of torque that you need to use for that, what was the process like for rehab for a kicker with a hip surgery? Because the hips are some of the most important parts of your body.
Yeah, and it was also my kicking leg side. So it's not like it was my planning side. It was the hip joint of my kicking leg. And obviously there's a lot of twerk and a lot of things like that and twisting and explosion and all that. So it was a very slow process. I mean, when I first got surgery, my parents were with me, picked me up, and I had a wheelchair. I couldn't walk, things like that. They actually stayed with me in a hotel at Penn State for, at least a month because I couldn't live on my own, really, especially in the snow in Penn State. I mean, up in the winter, how do you go around campus on a freaking wheelchair? You know what I mean? So they actually helped me out like crazy for a month, living in the hotel with me, helping me shower and do my daily things. So it was a really, really slow process. And that alone is really tough because, when you get out of surgery, you want to be like, all right, well, now I'm good. But, it took 6, 7, 8 months for me to actually get to that point to where I'm kicking and getting back into things. And it was mentally tough because when you get healthy to the point to where you can actually kick, you want to kick full speed. You don't want to kick foam balls. You don't want to do half. You don't want to do all this different stuff. You just want to go kick. And I couldn't do that because I knew if I did, I would hurt myself. And last thing I needed to be set back again. So it was definitely mentally tough for sure.
You said you resented football. What do you mean by that? And did you talk to James Franklin about giving up football at the time before Penn State went to the bowl game in that year?
Yeah. I had a conversation with him before I left, really the day that I was leaving pretty much, kind of letting him know exactly where I was at in terms of mentally, spiritually, just where I am as a player, as a person, and things like that. There are a lot of things that I value in life, and obviously football only has so much value. Football only goes on for so long, and at Penn State, I just felt like I was not getting what I needed as a person and spiritually, and that's nothing to say, bad against Penn State. That's just, for me personally as a person, that's just not where I wanted to be, and I felt like I valued a lot of other things outside of football. And ultimately, I had to choose whether do I want to stay here and persevere through what I feel like I shouldn't and continue football here, or do I value other things over football? And I got to the point where I was like, there are a lot of other things in life that I value more than me being a football player here, and that's ultimately why I chose to leave and not play.
Thanks, Alex.
Yep.
Hey Alex, how you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
I'm all right. Talk a little about the spiritual journey. I know we've talked a lot about your journey in physically and where you've gone, but talk a little bit about it spiritually, because I asked CJ Yarborough about you, and he said, man, you'll be blasting gospel music in that locker room. I don't know if it's Kirk Franklin or anything.
No, I do put him on.
We'll talk a little bit about that and how your spirituality has kind of led you down this path and doors have opened for you.
Yeah, 100%. I would say at Penn State, I had very high expectations. Not only did my coaches did, my friends did, everyone did. I was obviously a good player. That's why I was going there. And I knew I could start and win the job. And when I went to Penn State, everything pretty much went the opposite of how I assumed and desired it to, in terms of not performing well, being hurt, having surgery. So that was all very, very tough. And I kind of had felt that Penn State's where God wanted me to be. I really felt led, like I was supposed to be there. Like that's where I needed to be, which is why I decommitted from Rutgers, ended up choosing to go to Penn State January, right before signing day. And with everything kind of going the opposite of how I thought it would, I kind of started having doubt in my mind about God and different things like that, which at the time was immaturity, because that's not really how it works. Like, our earthly circumstances don't define our view of God. Because a bad thing happens doesn't mean, oh, well, God hates me or God doesn't love me, things like that. That's not true. That's not true at all. And there's no promise in the Bible that says only good things will happen to you. That's called the prosperity gospel, and that's not the gospel of the Bible. So there were a lot of things that were, I guess, very detrimental and hard to me spiritually, and I felt like I didn't really have a lot of people that shared similar beliefs with me, I guess, on the team and things like that. And that's really important to me. Obviously, you're not going to meet everyone in the world that's a Christian. Obviously, you're in the world. You know what I mean? It's like everyone has different beliefs and come from different backgrounds and things like that. But I just felt like I was in an environment where I wasn't really being poured into. I was trying to stay true to who I am and my beliefs and things like that. And I guess being there was just very, very, very tough for me. And I felt like it was just very hard to do what I would desire to do, which is ultimately why I came to Liberty. If I'm going to leave a massive state school, why would I go to another state school? It's kind of like, it's all the same thing no matter where you go. And plus, I had my brother here at the time. Him and his wife were here in med school. My best friend from home was here. So I immediately stepped into a completely different environment. And that allowed me to kind of deal with the issues that I had in terms of my mind and spiritually and things like that, and being able to grow and have good examples around me kind of spurring me to be a better person and more like Christ. And it hasn't been an easy journey. Coming here, like, I had a lot of doubt in my mind about God and my past and how things went out, and I had to deal with that. It's tough dealing with those things, and ultimately having a lot of mentors and people that are Christ-like and on the same journey as me, or people that have been able to kind of spur me and get me in the right spot and really have allowed me to grow and mature.
And who are you blasting in the locker room? Is it Kirk Franklin?
I do put Kirk Franklin, 100%. I like to put on Hillsong United, Elevation Worship a lot, but I have put Kirk Franklin because I know a lot of players know him too.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, we'll go next to Damien, and we'll wrap it up there unless someone else has something.
Alex, you mentioned Saturday that you were, I guess, ready to graduate. Have you already gotten your bachelor's, and are you working on a master's?
Yeah, so this semester I'm supposed to graduate undergraduate. So I'll be starting, I'm in the middle of deciding it. I may continue my undergraduate and get another degree, or I may just move on to my master's. Haven't decided exactly what yet, but I should be done undergraduate and then also have another year of eligibility because of the coronavirus deal. So.
And what are you studying?
I've been doing business. So I actually, a small reason why I left Penn State was they weren't going to allow me to do business, and that's what I wanted to do. So I was going to be forced to do criminal justice and stuff like that. So I've been, since being at Liberty, I've done business.
Didn't your older brother Timothy study business?
Yep. I believe he got a master's. And then my other brother is a doctor. So my oldest one is the one who's doing business. He has a business of his own, actually probably like two of them. He's working on with my father. So business is definitely kind of part of our family. So.
And I think your dad alluded to that you are taking advantage of the extra year
Yep.
of eligibility.
Yep. Yep. That's true.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.